Hey, free-to-play gang, welcome back for a very quick video. So today, let's take a look at the wish pool again because it has finally reset. So I think the first time around when it first launched, and like within like the first 1 month or something like that, most of us are within the same banner, and I say banner, right? So it lasted for 90 days, but right now this is only going to last for 60 days. And moving forward, I do feel like it's going to cycle every 60 days, which is a lot better than 90 days. So every 2 months, we can select an Esper that we need for our current lineup. So for today's video, this is obviously going to go to players who do not really know what to do with their selection, right? So depending on the kind of Espers that you already have, that would definitely define the kind of Esper that you want to pick moving forward. So this is going to be a really quick and simple guide for you guys. This account of mine only has 2 Espers. One, I have a Clara, and number 2, I have a Tang Xuan. But I'm pretty sure that Clara is over here in the first set of Espers that you can choose from. So, for example, when you have unlocked the wish pool, these are the few Espers that you can select, plus Clara. So the first 10 Espers, it's going to include Clara as well. But if you have more than 10 legendary Espers, then you would unlock the rest of the other Espers here. So even all the Shimmer Epics as well. So all these would also be part of the set. Now, if you already had a Gaius, like let's say you already picked the Gaius in the first place, or if you already summoned him just because you got lucky, then obviously the next choice is probably going to be, let's say, a Clara, for example. I think Clara is still going to be one of the top picks. But if you already have both Clara and Gaius and you are a new player, I would highly suggest that you consider Gabrielle, because Gabrielle is probably one of the best support Espers in this game, and she's very, very important, very crucial for not just most of the content in this game, even like PvP for example, but also for Fafnir. So if you're thinking about trying to branch out your PvE content and your exposure to Fafnir and you need a team that works really well, Gabrielle is really part of the puzzle. Like even most of the fast comps out there use a Gabrielle right now just because she keeps your team safe and she multi-hits a lot as well. So she's very, very useful, and of course, like, you know, defense breaks, immunity, defense buff, a lot of stuff in her kit. But if let's say you already had a Clara, you already had a Gaius, you already had a Gabrielle as well, I would then next highly suggest you to go for Abigail. Abigail is also one of the very, very, very strong Espers out there right now. Like she has a lot in her kit that is very useful for PvE content, and of course in PvP as well. She is a very well-rounded Esper. But if you already had an Abigail as well, then there's really not much for you to choose from, because the rest of these Espers here, they are only going to improve on certain niche content. So for example, Jinyu Yao, she's probably going to be useful for like Sentinel Hunt or maybe PvP. That's about it. Ollie's going to be really good in both PvP and Chronos as well. Ahmed is going to be really good in Fafnir. He's also going to be really good in PvP. Zara is going to be very good in Shadowfire, and she's decent in PvP, especially when you have her at like R6 for example, which yeah, we're never going to talk about that. Brewster is really good in APAP and in some of the other PvE content, like let's say the Sentinel Hunt and some of the tower content, so he has a lot of value. I would say that he has more value than the rest of the other Espers at the top over here, aside from Gabrielle of course. And Ife is a complete skip, and the Phantom Sisters, she is going to be free, so I wouldn't recommend you to choose her this way. Unless of course you are chasing for an R1 Phantom Sisters or maybe an R2 Phantom Sisters, which don't make sense at all because she don't really do very well with resonances. But okay, let's say you have more than 10 legendary Espers, right? Then we want to talk a little bit more about the other set of Espers over here. Now, my personal favorite pick is probably going to be Alice over here. Now, Alice has a lot jam-packed into her kit. And if you're just going by rates, right? Some of you guys might be saying, wait, what? Why would I want to pick an epic Shimmer Esper when I can pick a legendary Esper? And the reason for that is, believe it or not, her rates are pretty similar to that of a legendary. So for example, let's take a look at any random legendary Esper's rates, right? It's 0.0321%. But if you take a look at the epic Shimmer Espers, her rate is 0.0630, which is, yes, she's twice as likely to obtain than any of the specific legendary Espers that you want. But the thing is, now you're talking about a selective summon here, and it is extremely hard for you. Okay, you can ask anyone if they are trying to look for Clara, for example. It is extremely hard to selectively summon for Clara. So just going by the logic that, hey, epic Shimmer Espers are twice as likely to obtain than your specific legendary Esper, I don't think that's a really good assessment. So I do feel like Alice is definitely one of the better picks over here. Now let's say you also have an Alice, right? What are some of the other options here? So now Louis is probably going to be good towards the end game. Nama is also going to be really good towards the end game. Liling is going to be really good when he's at R6, which is far end game. And you already have a Gaius at this point. And now Biondina is going to be really good in Sentinel Hunt. That's about it. Sienna has a lot of value, especially when she's at R6. But prior to R6, she still holds some value in many different content. So I would still suggest that Sienna is one of the better choices as well if you need a very strong controlling support. Elliot is probably one of those espers that I wouldn't suggest, even though he's really good at R6. Ophelia is also an esper that I wouldn't really suggest until you're like towards the end game where you actually need a single target nuke for, let's say, your point war, for example. But of course, she has a lot of value in other content, like let's say in Fafnir, in some of those speedruns, in some of the Desolate Land content, or maybe some of the Sentinel hunt as well. Asenath is completely free. You can buy her from the Divine Sequencer shop. Catherine is okay, but the thing is, if you're going to go for Catherine, I'd rather you go for Jin Yu Yao instead. Now, Lin Xiao, believe it or not, has fallen off a lot in the meta right now. She is not really that used anymore. And the reason for that is because her defense break is just not very consistent. There are much better defense breakers out there. And Anesidora is a pretty good pick. I would say that she's one of the better picks here as well. Bonnie is probably not needed. Taylor is also probably not needed. It's more for PvP. Nicole is like completely niche, right? If you want to use a Nicole, you're probably going to use her with an R6 Narmer. Laura is not bad, but this is more towards endgame PvP as well. And of course, finally, we end off with, what's his face? Zhongnan, yeah, Zhongnan. Okay, so he's very niche. I would rather you go with like pure control. So for example, you have espers like Longmian, you have espers like Pritzker. These are really pure control espers. So that's it for this list basically, right? So based on the things that I've mentioned here, what do you think are the espers that you need right now? Because I really do not know what are the espers that you have at this point, but the only advice that I can give to you is based on what my preferences are from this list over here. And one more very important thing to add is that you should also make your decision based on the current banner or based on what is coming in the future. So for right now, there is an anniversary event, although we do not know anything about it. But because there's some speculation on what it might be, it is also a good idea for you to hold your wish stones right now and not to blow your load whenever you see something that you fancy. So yes, definitely keep your eye out on the patch notes coming in the near future as well. So just to summarize real quick, the first pick for me is going to be Gaius, followed by Clara, and then Gabrielle, and followed by Abigail. And the next esper in line for me is either Brewster or Alice. So these are the 6 espers over here. And after that, all the other espers is really completely up to you. I mean, yeah, Sienna is also one of those espers. So yeah, Sienna will make the 7th esper. And if you have all of these 7 espers, then I would just highly recommend that you go for whatever you require based on your current lineup. Or like based on the current content that you can cover right now. So if you're struggling in Fafnir, maybe consider Ahmed. If you're struggling in endgame point war or knockout, you can consider Jin Yu Yao. If you're struggling in Chronos, you can consider Ollie. Or if you're just lacking some massive DPS, right, you can consider Ophelia or you can consider Lewis. But I think Ophelia is probably like the more favorable pick right now. So yeah, that's about it. That's it for all the espers over here. The rest of them, I don't really necessarily feel like they are a must-have. So like for example, Zora, for example, I don't think she's a must-have. Nama is definitely not a must-have. Biondina is definitely not a must-have unless you really care a lot about the Sentinel hunt. And it's just that one specific Dark Starlord content as well. Okay, but anyway, that's it for this video. If any other questions, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Derry Free to Play. And as always, I will see you in the next video.